Welcome to the Legal Landscape. It's Season 2, Episode 3. The topic today, can Uber be held responsible for Uber drivers in Jamaica? And the backstory, on June 15, 2021, the popular international ride-sharing business Uber commenced operations in Jamaica. We now have the option to get a taxi using the Uber app on our cell phones. Many users have reported that this option is a convenient and more affordable alternative to other private taxi services. However, to what extent is the service safe? Think about it. How much control can a large foreign company have over drivers in Jamaica? These are some of the things that persons are asking. Like, are passengers putting themselves at risk by calling taxis using the Uber app? Well, to help us to navigate this topic, we're joined at this time by Miss Danielle Reid, who is an associate. She's an attorney-at-law at DunnCox Attorneys-at-Law. And we say top of the morning and welcome to the legal landscape. Danielle, how are you today?
Hi, good morning. I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for joining us. My first question has got to be what everybody wants me to ask you, Danielle. Is Uber safe to use in Jamaica?
Right, that's my main concern as well. I think taxi businesses like Uber are only safe if a sufficient amount of control is exercised over the drivers and the vehicles that are selected to drive for the company. Now, as far as I understand, the requirements to join Uber are somewhat stringent. Drivers have to be over 21 years old. Vehicles cannot be less than 9 years old. Drivers have to upload a valid license, registration, insurance, a profile picture as well. Uber also requires new drivers to consent for the company to perform a background check on them, to look into their criminal history, their driving record, and their vehicle history. Now, I can't say that Uber actually is going to enforce all of these requirements, but I would say that it is in their best interest to do so. They should want to engage careful drivers and good vehicles, because if accidents happen on the road, they could actually be held liable.
By the way, I just want to remind my listeners that if you'd like to participate in the program, you can either send us a WhatsApp message and you can also give us a call on 876-906-9557 or 876-906-9559. Let me ask you, Daniel, what type of driver activity will the company be responsible for?
Okay, well, I'm going to use examples from countries that have already used Uber. So in the UK, for example, the courts found that Uber would be responsible for the negligence of its drivers. So if an Uber driver negligently causes a car accident on the road while traveling with a passenger in Jamaica, the company could actually be held liable for this. Now, this somewhat harks back to our previous conversation about vicarious liability, where employers are held liable for the actions or inactions of their employees. I have to say, though, in the U.S., there was a recent judgment from the court that held that Uber could not be held responsible for a driver who sexually assaulted a passenger.
Really?
So even though Uber will conduct their background checks, it's not their responsibility to extend to the realm of actions that are not strictly driving. So, the safety of our women and our girls has been a long-standing issue in Jamaica.
Yes.
So it's something we should definitely consider.
Most definitely. I also wanted to ask you, how can Uber exercise control over drivers here in Jamaica?
Right. I know that the Uber app allows you to track the drivers and track the passengers, but not all of these drivers are going to be our typical red plate taxis, as we know. It could be me and you, Ritchie. We wake up one morning and we see the gas prices and we're like, this is too much of a burden to bear. Let me do a route.
Yes.
That might sound a little, careless to some people. So I think Uber is going to try and appease us by putting in certain rules and regulations. For example, assigning specific routes for these taxis, requiring photographs and IDs from all the new drivers, monitoring the car details, making sure that they're up to date, make sure that the car is fit, ensuring that passengers can easily contact the authorities. No, I'm not sure what arrangement is in place with the JCS right now, but I would like to find out. Now, through the app, customers may complain if your taxi man takes a different route, which is interesting to me because we know that in Jamaica, taximen enjoy taking the road less traveled.
Yes.
But on Uber, there are actual consequences for this. You can actually downrate your driver as well if they're too talkative, if they have a penchant for potholes. You can actually have them penalized for this. So there's a sufficient amount of control that these drivers are going to have to subject themselves to.
Okay, interesting. I have to ask too, is Uber responsible to ensure that drivers pay their taxes? Do you know?
Well, if the model mimics the one that is in the UK, definitely. No, Uber, they do like to market themselves as, the company that allows drivers to have a lot of autonomy and to do things on their free time. But they're actually remarkably controlling in the UK. And the consequence of having a controlling work environment is that employers will have to take on certain obligations on behalf of the employees. And this will include paying over certain contributions to statutory bodies. Now, in the UK, there was actually a class action lawsuit where all the drivers came together and they said, you know what, we have been operating under these strict rules for so long. We're essentially employees and we are entitled to certain benefits. And Uber, of course, would say that they're independent and they shouldn't have to, pay certain contributions on behalf of the drivers. But the drivers were completely successful. And if such a model is copied in Jamaica, I would think that that's actually the ideal way.
Okay.
I think it would allow for both security for the drivers and also peace of mind for the passengers, which is, the most paramount concern.
It is a major development in our transportation industry here. And this morning, Danielle, you have shed a lot of light on this new development. I thank you. And before you go, I'm going to ask, do you have a did you know for us? Right.
Did you know that in the UK, the drivers do not know where they're going until the passenger enters the vehicle? And upon entering the vehicle, they have to go where the passenger has, put in the app to go. Very interesting fact.
Very interesting indeed. Danielle, thank you very much for the information you shared and the time you spent with us. Have a beautiful day today.
Thank you, and the same to you, Ritchie.
All right, much appreciated. Really, really appreciate that. Danielle Reid is her name, and she's an associate at DunnCox Attorneys-at-Law, providing a lot of information. Looking at the subject, can Uber be held responsible for Uber drivers in Jamaica? And we definitely threw some big ones at her, and she definitely handled them well. Thank you, Danielle. 8:08 a.m., that's the time. This is Top of the Morning. You're on the edge.